What if I told you everything you've been taught about happiness, success, and the good life is not just wrong but poisonous? What if I told you that your addiction to comfort is the very thing killing your potential, draining your energy, and muting your soul? Right now, you're about to step into something most people never dare to face. This isn't motivation. This is a psychological intervention. We're not here to help you feel better. We're here to help you see clearer. What you're about to experience is a journey into the fire of pain, the silence of discipline, and the truth that comfort is your enemy in pain, your most loyal teacher.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
We live in a culture that worships pleasure. Every screen you touch, every ad you scroll past, every app you open, it's all designed to sedate you, to numb you, to distract you from the one thing that actually changes you, discomfort. From the moment we wake up, we're offered pleasure on a silver platter. Temperature-controlled beds, curated breakfast, instant entertainment, dopamine-hacked algorithms. But here's the paradox: the more pleasure we consume, the weaker we become, physically, mentally, spiritually. Nietzsche said, "The snake which cannot cast its skin has to die." That quote isn't about snakes. It's about you. It's about the version of you that clings to comfort, to safety, to the known. That version must die if you want to evolve. But you can't kill it with more luxury. You kill it with pain, with effort, with sacrifice. The path to greatness is not paved in soft pillows. It's carved out with blood and willpower. Ask yourself something. When was the last time you voluntarily chose pain? Not because you had to, but because you knew it would forge you into something stronger. When was the last time you did something hard, not for the reward, but for the transformation? If you can't answer that, you're not free. You're domesticated. You've become a consumer of comfort, not a creator of character. Let's go deeper. Look at nature. Growth never happens in ease. A seed must crack open to become a tree. A muscle must tear to grow stronger. A mind must be challenged, broken, and rebuilt to become wise. And yet we avoid all of this. We avoid the cold, the silence, the sweat, the solitude. Why? Because pleasure whispers lies in our ears. It tells us we deserve ease, that suffering is unnecessary, that we're fine the way we are. But deep down, you know that's not true. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic emperors, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The mind is a battlefield, and every time you choose comfort over challenge, you lose a piece of that battle. You surrender a sliver of your soul. You become less alive. You might be wondering, but what's so wrong with comfort? Don't we all deserve to rest, to feel good, to enjoy life? Of course you do. But comfort should be a reward, not a lifestyle. When pleasure becomes your default setting, life becomes flat, hollow. You lose your edge. You lose hunger. You become a ghost in your own body, alive, but not living. Let me show you how deep this goes. Every time you avoid pain, you're not just avoiding discomfort, you're avoiding growth. You're saying no to resilience, no to discipline, no to the version of you that is forged in the fire of suffering. Think of the strongest people you admire, not just physically, but mentally, spiritually. How many of them got there through luxury? None. They were refined by hardship. They turned pain into power. Pain is the doorway to presence. When you're cold, when you're aching, when you're deep into your limits, there's no room for distraction. You are there, fully, raw, alive. That's why ancient warriors, monks, and mystics all embraced pain. Not because they were masochists, but because they knew pain kills illusion. It strips away ego. It reveals truth. Now imagine a society that fears pain, that medicates every discomfort, that avoids silence, that equates happiness with convenience. That's us. That's the modern world. And it's making us weak. Here's a thought to shake you. What if pain is not the enemy? What if pain is the only real teacher? Every lesson you've truly learned, was it taught through ease or through struggle? Think of your deepest moments of clarity. Did they come during pleasure or during chaos, heartbreak, loss, failure? We've been sold a lie that life should be painless. That struggle is a glitch in the system. But the ancients knew better. The Stoics trained in winter without cloaks. The Spartans slept on the ground and ate coarse food. Buddhist monks meditate for hours in aching stillness. Why? Because they understood that comfort breeds softness, and softness breeds suffering. Let's make this real. Start small. Take cold showers. Fast for a day. Wake up before the sun. Walk when you could ride. Lift what you'd rather drop. Sit in silence when you'd rather scroll. These small acts of chosen pain rewire your psychology. They remind your body who's in charge. And they build something the world desperately lacks: inner strength. And here's the twist: the more you embrace pain, the less afraid of it you become. And when you stop fearing pain, you become untouchable. Think about it. What can the world do to a man who doesn't fear discomfort? How do you control someone who has trained in suffering? You can't. That's real freedom. That's invincibility. Now let me ask you something that might haunt you. Who would you be if you were no longer afraid of pain? What decisions would you make? What risks would you take? What dreams would you chase if you knew you could endure anything? This is not a motivational speech. This is an initiation into a different kind of life. One where you stop running from the fire and walk straight into it. One where you stop numbing and start noticing. One where you trade comfort for clarity. Socrates said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." But what he didn't say is that the examined life is painful. Because to examine your life means to confront your laziness, your excuses, your fear. It means to admit that you've been hiding behind screens, behind comfort, behind the illusion of progress. But it also means you can change, right now, not tomorrow, not when you're ready, right now. You can choose pain. You can choose effort. You can choose a different path, a path that doesn't promise ease, but offers something far greater: transformation. We've glorified dopamine and demonized discipline. But dopamine fades. Discipline lasts. And the only way to build discipline is through repetition of difficult things. Not once. Every day. Until your brain rewires. Until effort becomes your natural state. So here's your challenge. For the next 30 days, do one thing every day that makes you uncomfortable. Physically, mentally, emotionally. It doesn't have to be extreme. It just has to be real. Cold water, hard workout, honest conversation, silence, solitude, stillness. These are your training grounds. Because in a world that chases pleasure, the man who embraces pain becomes unstoppable. He becomes the storm. While others run, he walks. While others distract, he focuses. While others break, he bends and then he rises. You were never meant to be comfortable. You were meant to be capable. You were never meant to be entertained. You were meant to be engaged. You were never meant to live soft. You were meant to live strong. And strength only comes one way, through pain. If you're still here, it means something inside you is stirring. Not the soft voice that wants to hit snooze or scroll for dopamine. No, this is something ancient. The warrior within. The philosopher within. The seeker who knows there's more to life than ease. You've chosen to walk the path few dare to tread, the path of voluntary suffering, the path of awakening. Because once you see comfort for what it truly is, a trap, you can never go back. Let's talk about the addiction. Yes, addiction. That's what comfort is. An invisible drug with no name but infinite dosage. Most people don't even realize they're hooked. But look around. Do you eat when you're not hungry? Do you check your phone without thinking? Do you avoid silence like it's pain? That's not freedom. That's enslavement. And the worst kind of prison is the one you decorate so beautifully, you forget it's a cell. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." But how many of us hand our freedom away daily? We surrender it to the algorithm, to the craving, to the excuse. We think we're choosing, but really we're reacting. We think we're living, but really we're avoiding. Avoiding the friction that forges character. Avoiding the tension that creates clarity. Let's flip the script. Pain isn't the problem. Pain is the portal. Think back to every transformative moment in your life. Was it comfortable? Was it easy? Or did it come after a breakdown, a heartbreak, a failure, a fall? We are forged in fire, not in feather beds. And yet, the moment we feel that fire, we reach for the extinguisher. A snack, a show, a distraction, anything but presence. But presence is where power lives. When you are in pain, you are awake. You are on the edge, and the edge is where transformation happens. But only if you stay there, only if you resist the urge to numb, only if you treat the pain not as punishment, but as instruction. So let me ask you, what are you running from? What truth do you keep buried beneath comfort? What dream have you postponed because the road to it is paved in effort, sacrifice, and uncertainty? That's the battle. Not against the world, against the self, the soft self, the sedated self, the self that wants guarantees, shortcuts, and applause without the sweat. Now here's the secret the world won't tell you. The more pain you voluntarily choose, the more freedom you gain. Why? Because you become unshakable. You become your own master. The cold doesn't scare you. The silence doesn't break you. The challenge doesn't stop you. You become the kind of person who does what needs to be done not because it's easy, but because it's right. And here's something even deeper. Pleasure, when pursued endlessly, becomes pain. Just ask anyone who's addicted to sugar, to porn, to social media. The initial hit feels good, but the aftermath? Emptiness, shame, weakness. Your system becomes dull. Your spirit becomes numb. But pain, when embraced intentionally, becomes pleasure. The pleasure of discipline, the pleasure of progress, the pleasure of knowing you didn't run. Nietzsche said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." But most of us haven't found our why because we've never endured a real how. We've never suffered long enough to uncover what we're made of. We quit during the discomfort, not realizing that the gold is buried beneath it. The meaning is just beyond the suffering. The breakthrough is on the other side of the breakdown. Let's get practical. You don't need to climb a mountain or fast for 40 days to begin. Start where you are. Choose the harder option daily. Take the stairs. Do the extra rep. Sit in meditation when your mind screams to escape. Say no to the easy yes. Every act of resistance is a rep for your soul. And your soul, like your body, grows stronger with tension. But this isn't about being a machine. This is about being fully human. And to be human is to suffer. It's to struggle. It's to feel deeply and keep going anyway. The ancient Stoics didn't seek pain because they loved misery. They sought it because they loved freedom. And freedom is only found when you are no longer afraid of pain. Have you ever watched a lion in the wild? It doesn't apologize for its hunger. It doesn't beg for comfort. It moves with purpose, with presence. It's not domesticated. It's alive. That's what we've lost. We've traded our wildness for Wi-Fi, our instincts for instant gratification, our resilience for restlessness. But you can reclaim it. That fire, that discipline, that unbreakable presence. It begins with one decision: to stop running, to sit in the discomfort, to let it teach you, and to emerge, not as someone who avoided the storm, but as someone who became the storm. Here's a deeper question. What would your life look like if you were no longer trying to feel good, but trying to become good? Not morally, but ontologically. Strong, focused, present, unshakable. That's a higher aim. And it demands more of you. It demands sacrifice. But in return, it gives you something no pleasure ever can: self-respect. You begin to look at yourself differently. Not as someone who needs to be fixed, but as someone who needs to be forged. You stop asking, "How can I make this easier?" and start asking, "How can I grow through this?" That question changes everything. It reframes every obstacle as opportunity, every hardship as initiation, every pain as purification. Because here's the truth: comfort is not neutral. It erodes courage. It dulls vision. It kills hunger. And the tragedy is, we don't even notice it happening. We think we're relaxing, but we're decaying. We think we're safe, but we're shrinking. Slowly, quietly. Until one day, we look in the mirror and don't recognize the person staring back. That's why this matters. This isn't just about fitness or success or achievement. This is about your soul, about remembering who you are beneath the layers of noise, fear, and distraction, about reclaiming the part of you that is not afraid to suffer, to strive, to stand alone if necessary. And here's the paradoxical beauty. The more you embrace pain, the more alive you feel. The breath becomes deeper. The silence becomes richer. The world becomes more vivid. Why? Because you're present. You're no longer running, you're feeling, you're seeing, you're being. But don't take my word for it. Test it, live it. Choose the pain. Reject the pleasure. Not forever, but long enough to remember who you really are. Long enough to break the spell. Long enough to feel your own power rise from within. Because that's what this is about. Power, not over others. Over yourself. The power to act when it's hard, and to speak when it's scary, to continue when it hurts, and to do it all without needing applause, permission, or comfort. Seneca said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." You are that gem, and the friction is your friend. The trial is your teacher. The pain is your path. So don't run. Don't numb. Don't scroll away. Step into the fire. Feel the heat. Let it burn away the false. Let it reveal the unshakable core within you, the part that cannot be tempted, cannot be broken, cannot be bought. You are not here to be safe. You are here to be sovereign. Are you ready for the final evolution? Now you've come this far. Most people never do. They stop at the first sign of discomfort. They turn back when it gets quiet. When the mirror starts to show things they'd rather not see. But not you. You didn't run. You stayed. You leaned in. And now you're ready for the final truth, the one that can split you wide open or set you free. Maybe both. The truth is this: we were never meant to be comfortable. Not as a full-time state. Comfort is a resting place, not a destination. It's the pause between storms, not the purpose of life. But we've built a society that treats comfort as the highest good, the final goal, the definition of success. And in doing so, we've made ourselves emotionally obese and spiritually starved. Look around. People are more anxious, more lost, more medicated than ever before. Not because they're in constant crisis, but because they're in constant comfort. Because they've never had to bleed for something real. Because they've never had to strip away everything and find out who they are without the noise. And the soul, when it's not pushed, begins to rot. Carl Jung said, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls." And that's what comfort lets us do. It lets us avoid not just pain, but truth, growth, responsibility, meaning. It gives us endless excuses to stay small, to stay distracted, to stay asleep. But real life is found in the resistance, in the wait, in the friction, in the place where you're sweating, doubting, aching, but choosing to continue anyway. That's where character is born. That's where identity is forged, not in the moment of triumph, but in the moment of decision when you want to quit, but don't. And here's what almost no one tells you: you were made for this. Your biology, Your psychology, your spirit, it's all built for challenge, for adversity, for struggle. It's why you feel most alive when you're climbing, chasing, reaching. You were designed to overcome, but comfort has taught you to seek peace without battle. And that's a lie, because peace doesn't come from avoiding the war. It comes from winning it. And the war isn't out there. It's in here, in your mind, in your habits, in your choices. Every time you choose the easy path, you kill a part of yourself. Every time you say, "I'll do it tomorrow," or "I don't feel like it today," you're voting against your own evolution. But every time you choose discomfort, you reclaim your power. So ask yourself now, what are the comfort patterns that have held you hostage? Is it the food you eat? The content you consume? The conversations you avoid? The work you delay? The identity you cling to because change is terrifying? Be honest, because the truth will hurt, but it will also heal. Soren Kierkegaard wrote, "The most painful state of being is remembering the future, particularly the one you'll never have." That's what comfort robs you of, not just your present strength, but your future self. The version of you that could have existed if you had embraced the pain, if you had chosen the fire, if you had said yes to the hard path. But it's not too late. It's never too late. You can start now, right now. Drop the excuse, feel the fear, and move anyway. You don't need to do everything today. You just need to do what's hard. Choose the harder option. Be uncomfortable, on purpose, repeatedly, obsessively, until it becomes who you are. Because when discomfort becomes your norm, comfort becomes your superpower. You stop needing it. You stop chasing it. And when you do rest, when you do enjoy, it actually means something. It's earned. It's sacred. It tastes like victory, not sedation. But this is about more than self-discipline. This is about freedom. Freedom from the addiction to ease. Freedom from the lie that you should always feel good. Freedom from the culture that tells you to numb your edges instead of sharpening them. Because only when you stop needing comfort do you start walking your own path, not the one society mapped for you, but the one your soul demands. And you'll notice something strange. The more you suffer intentionally, the less you suffer randomly. The more pain you choose, the less pain controls you. Why? Because pain becomes familiar. Not in a traumatic way, but in a transcendent way. You start to realize that pain is just energy, just sensation, just feedback. And when you stop fearing it, you start using it. That's what the Stoics knew. That's what the monks knew. That's what the warriors knew. Pain is not the enemy. It's the crucible, the sacred fire that burns away weakness, illusion, ego. And what remains is you, the real you. The you that's been buried under 1,000 layers of comfort and fear. So what would happen if you lived this? If you structured your life not around what feels good, but around what builds you? What if every day you asked, what would the strongest version of me do right now? And then you did it no matter how uncomfortable it felt. That's how you change. Not with affirmations, with action. Not with vision boards, with discipline. Not with hype, with habit. every day. Especially when it's hard. Especially when no one's watching. Especially when every part of you wants to stop. And here's the beautiful, brutal irony. The more you reject pleasure, the more joy you feel. Real joy. Not the shallow kind that comes from sugar or screens, but the soul-level joy that comes from alignment, from integrity, from knowing you didn't back down, from knowing you gave everything, from knowing you're becoming someone worth being. So let me leave you with this. Don't chase comfort. Chase greatness. And greatness is not found in spas and soft couches. Greatness is found in cold showers, early mornings, lonely nights, and hard conversations. Greatness is born in the silence after the scream, in the stillness after the storm, in the eyes of the man or woman who didn't quit. And you, yes, you are capable of that. Not someday. Now. Not after your next high. Not after your next excuse. Now. In this breath. In this moment. In this decision. So what will you choose? Will you stay in the arms of comfort, slowly dying one soft day at a time? Or will you rise naked, raw, on fire and walk the path of pain, of power, of truth? The world doesn't need more people who feel good. It needs more people who are good, who are strong, who are awake, who are alive. You can be that person, but only if you're willing to burn,